Hello and what happened there?
We love it.
Hello.
We love it.
Hello and welcome to ForMorSport, the show where we talk about all things football. Slight technical issue there. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but guess what? That's what happens when you go live. Things go wrong. But anyway, wow, episode 11. My name's Johnny, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in crime, my very happy and smiling friend Chris. How are you, sir?
The heart rate is coming down, so I think I'm going to be okay.
Okay. And I'm also joined by neutrals, Rob Dogs and Roger. They are a family team, father and son. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
And Rob, how are
All
you?
good, thanks, Rob.
Yeah, good. So,
Yeah, all good,
wow,
thanks.
it has been a bit of a crazy week. If you watched our show that we had on Wednesday night, we ended the show just before the Champions League games. And Chris, do you remember what you said on Wednesday as to what was going to happen with the Chelsea Real Madrid game? Do you remember what you said about the midfield?
I said, that's the only thing I think I remember saying.
Yeah, what did you say? Just reiterate to us. What
it was along the lines of whoever controls the midfield probably wins the game, and you keep an eye out for Modric, something along those lines.
Yes. So, the game ended up being Chelsea 1, Real Madrid 3. Roger and Rob Dogs, obviously as loyal Chelsea fans, could you please tell us in your, from your impression, what happened to Rob? Rob has.
He'll come back.
He froze.
But don't worry, I'm almost convinced he will make his way back. So we'll leave it to you then, Roger. You are going to have to represent Chelsea Football Club. Explain to us what happened on Wednesday. Was it a battle of the midfield? What happened?
Yeah, I think so. They won battles all over the park. Putting Christensen up against Vinicius Junior was probably, I think even Tuchel afterwards said it wasn't a good move because that guy is so fast and he skinned us a couple of times. Then you've got the absolute class of Benzema. Those headers, absolutely brilliant. Then for the third goal, we went and shot ourselves in the foot. Rudiger and Mendy mucking about and letting it in. So we weren't great, but then we're up against one of the best sides out. So, I thought we were going to have a hard time. Giving away 2 early goals to Karim Benzema was not the best way to start. And as Chris said, in the midfield, they were much better. I think when we brought on Kovacic in the centre of the park, he then started to grab it a bit more, go forward with the ball, much better look to the side. So, we left ourselves a bit of a mountain by that time. So it's not going to be easy, possibly impossible on Tuesday night, but we'll see. This is football. Anything can happen. So, I'm trying to be optimistic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think the tie's over.
I think Reece James will have to come in against Vinicius Junior because he's got the speed to tackle with him. Or maybe Azpilicueta, but certainly someone who can handle that bloke because he is lightning, isn't he? And he delivers.
And what about you, Chris? Did you watch the game?
I did.
And what was your take on it? Especially obviously, I don't know if you remember, I actually talked about Benzema a few weeks ago, and you laughed in my face.
Who did?
You did. When I said to you that he is one of the main big boys in European football right now, you laughed in my face.
No. Okay. Let me give context. You've just said he's one of the big boys of European football right now. At the end of the day, when I laughed in your face, I was saying that we're talking about right now, yeah?
Yes.
The argument then I would say is that actually the likes of Salah's a big boy right now, and you could then put someone like Son is a big boy right now if you're looking at their numbers, right?
Yes.
If you're looking at their numbers. But the reason I laughed is because I said consistently he has not been that guy. It's not that he's not a good player. Let's be clear on that. It's not that he's not a good player. For me, he has not been that guy. And if he had, then he wouldn't have played second fiddle to Ronaldo. That's what I was talking about.
Okay. So thank you so much for that explanation. Bringing it now back to Wednesday night.
Yes.
When he was all but unplayable.
Yes.
What was your take on the, obviously scoring some headed goals, which were just out of this world. So Rob, just to let you know, your dad highlighted Christensen, the link between Christensen and Vinicius Jr. as one of the major issues in that game. Would you agree? Sorry, Chris.
No.
Yeah, Junior had him a whole game. Christensen's not that quick enough. Yeah. James was playing very high up the pitch, so every time they broke, they went down that flank. They knew Junior was too quick and good for Christensen. It was a problem all game.
Yeah. So Chris, what was, obviously I know, thanks Rob for that. Chris, what was your take on that game, especially when we said it was pretty much going to be, dominant Chelsea midfield, dominant Chelsea team playing, and then in the 21st minute they got unravelled. Then 3 minutes later they get unravelled again. So what was your take on that game?
Before I do that, in the chat, please, your missus is there, and I think you should give her a shout out, please.
Oh yes, I do. I must apologise, Miss Morrison. Thank you so much for coming in and supporting your husband, your brother, and your father, and best man.
Love the support.
Family affair.
It's wonderful stuff. In terms of the game, to be honest, I was like, I thought it was going to be evenly matched. Like we said, it's about the midfield. Yeah. If I'm going to be honest with you, I'm disappointed that the game was taken away from Chelsea as quickly as it was, because it was developing into a good football match. But I can't take anything away from Benzema and those the two finishes in the first half. It was just, that's when I was like, this is what Johnny was talking about. This right here. Yeah. His team, to a degree, were a little bit under the cosh at the time. It was a bit of a chess game, and then that happens. Vinicius Jr., does what he does, and then Benzema scores the first one, then he scores the second one, and it's like, it almost felt as though, we know there's not away goals, but the tie was being quite quickly actually, taken away from Chelsea. And it's a little bit of a disappointment, because it's no longer, I guess, on a knife edge. But if Real Madrid can score 3 at Stamford Bridge, why can't Chelsea score 3 at the Bernabeu? Yeah,
that's true. What about obviously Havertz scores in the first half to actually give them a lifeline. What was your take on Lukaku's contribution to the game? I'll throw that out to all of you. Rob, what would you say was your take on what Lukaku did? He had 2 very good chances and just couldn't put them both away. Is it confidence, or are his days at Chelsea numbered? What's your take?
Probably confidence. Yeah, he hasn't been in good form for a while now. I mean, he started off well when he came, got injured, then got COVID, came back to the Aston Villa game where he single-handedly won that game for us. Then that interview came out, and since then hasn't been the same. So he's not playing. He's not getting a lot of minutes on the pitch, rightly so, because obviously Havertz has been brilliant since he's come in playing that position. So then the chances he does get, he doesn't score. I mean, like I said, 2 headers, great chances. A Lukaku on form would score that, but it doesn't get easier when you're not on form. You're trying to get the goals, you're not getting as many minutes or chances, and then when you do get them, they're not gone. It's even more pressure. So,
okay. So, what about you, Roger? What would you say? Would you say that does Lukaku have a future at Chelsea?
I think he's got to start performing. I know he's got confidence issues, and he hasn't helped himself by some of the things he said, but he really needs to start performing, because if he doesn't, I don't see that they're going to keep him. And to be honest, at this point in time, it wouldn't upset me if they did let him go, because I was never convinced that he was the answer really anyway. So I don't know. I thought at the time they brought him back, it was a little bit of a gamble. Yeah. Didn't see it, but as I say, he's done some good stuff. He's put some balls in the net, but unless he can really hit the ground and, get us some results, I think his position's very tricky at the moment. So,
From what I've seen on social media, apparently Lukaku's already talking to Inter about trying to go back.
I heard.
That's another thing
Right,
I
okay.
heard when all this Abramovich stuff was kicking off. Apparently, we still haven't paid Inter for him yet. So I don't know how that would work. I think we still owe them the money. So I don't know how that would work. If he does go back, could we change it to a loan, or I'm not sure.
Oh my goodness! I mean, that
they might have to pay something, but I don't think they have to pay the full stuff if they don't take up the option.
The thing is that Chelsea a weakened side without him. I mean, to be honest with you, you're relying heavily on, the likes of Havertz. I mean, even obviously we're going to talk about it later on, but even some of your misfits are scoring lots of goals now. So, do you necessarily need him?
Well, I think you there, Johnny? Are you frozen?
Oh no, am I frozen?
All right, sorry, you're just playing statues.
Sorry.
I think next season we want to bring Armando Broja back from Southampton because he is looking the biz, and I think if we can integrate him into the side, he's very hungry, he's young, he's powerful, he's quick. He could be the answer. As I say, the jury's out for me on Lukaku as to whether he has a place in this Chelsea side.
And obviously Gallagher is also shut.
Yeah, that's midfield, but he also weighs in with his goals, bit of a Lampard figure.
Yeah. So I can see. So basically, the next time that we go on air, which will be Wednesday, you'll have already played the return leg because that game you're playing on Tuesday. Just very quickly then, do you think you can turn it around at the Bernabeu?
We can. I honestly believe we can. We get a quick goal, put them under pressure. I mean, it's unlikely. I don't know if we're going to do it. But, as I said before, this is football and, strange results come up. I think we get a goal quickly, maybe another one, then suddenly we're equal. There's no away goals. And we could just sneak it. It would be a monumental effort, but, it can happen. We'll see. I don't think it will, but...
Rob, what do you think?
I mean, it can happen because we've seen Liverpool go to Barcelona 3-0 down and win 4-0. So there are results that like that, but I can't see it happen. I can't see us going there scoring 3 and not conceding any with the way Benzema is at the moment. He's probably one of the best on form strikers at the moment. So I can't see us scoring that many and not conceding at all. But possible, but I can't see it happening.
Okay. So also the moving on, the next game or the other game running on the same day was Villarreal versus Bayern Munich. Now, amazingly, Villarreal end up winning the game 1-0. I know that Bayern Munich lose away from home and then they score 8 goals at home. In your opinion, do you think that it's going to happen again, or do you think Villarreal can maybe irk out even a draw and go through? I mean, could you see it happening, or do you see it as a foregone conclusion and Bayern is in the next round? Chris?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because Villarreal know they're good at European football. They have a manager who has European pedigree. So, from a Bayern perspective, this is probably one of those where I don't think they fear Villarreal, but then did Juventus, then they got knocked out.
Yeah.
I will only say that I think Bayern have more firepower, so I think they will definitely score. The only thing would be, can Villarreal take any chances that they get? Because I'm not impressed with Upamecano, the Bayern defender. He is just an accident waiting to happen, and they spent a lot of money on him, and he's just had some howlers this season. And I think there's a distinct possibility Villarreal score, but I just think Bayern will have enough to get through.
I mean, there were quite a few chances in that game. Villarreal sort of scored at least 2 or 3 goals.
At least,
and I actually think that Villarreal needed those 3 goals.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is if you don't score them, you've then got to go, to the Allianz Stadium and try and shut a German team out that no one else can. So it's one of those things, if you win, you want to win big in your home leg to take over. And I think that's for any team. Any team that plays Bayern, you need to score a lot of goals. Yeah, go on, Chris. Go.
But then, is there an argument that actually them winning their home leg, this now suits them? Because they're the holders of the Europa, I think.
Europa, yeah.
Yeah, and they sat back against United, right? United couldn't find a way through. Now, I'm not saying
a lot better.
Yeah, I'm not saying Bayern won't find a way through, but if you're saying now, soak up the pressure and hit on the break, this may suit them perfectly. Because at the moment, they don't have to score. They just don't have to concede.
Yeah.
So Bayern have to take risks, and the longer it goes on, the more, squeaky bum time it becomes. We just, I don't know. I think that one is very finely poised, but you just never know. If Bayern get an early one, they could score 6. So,
what do you think, Roger? Do you think Bayern is this a foregone conclusion? The return leg in Germany.
I'd echo everything Chris has said. I think that's a really interesting match, and there's so many sort of perspectives to that as well. I'm going to say that I think Villarreal will get past the finishing post. I think they're going to do it.
I disagree.
I don't know why. I know. Again, it's one of these things. You would, the smart money would be on Bayern, obviously, because of their pedigree, Lewandowski and stuff like that. But you get these results, and I just have a feeling that Villarreal are going to pull it out of the hat and do it. But I picked Scherger for the Grand National, so who knows what's going to happen.
Go on, Robert. You said you disagree.
Yeah, I think it only being 1-0. I mean, Barcelona's just that team, like Chris said on Wednesday. They could win, they could lose that game, and then the second leg they'll pump them 5 or 6-0. I think with it only being 1-0.
Yeah.
For me, Bayern already through to the next round. I can't see them not getting through. I think they'll just Lewandowski as well. He's one of the best in the world. I can't see him not getting a couple.
I love it. Thank you so much, guys, for not sitting on the fence. Whenever we see other football punditry and whatnot, they sit on the fence. But we are committed. Obviously, Roger's committed to Villarreal.
Chelsea, Villarreal in the semis. I tell you now.
See, there we go. See, thank you, Roger. You know what? You are the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you so much. You're giving me all the evidence I need for later on to bring it back. But so anyway, that was the results of the Champions League, and then we're going to move back. We're going to come back to domestic football. The game that it will be in your heart, Lampard at Everton. They play Burnley away. Everton are they're in a lot of trouble, as we know. We've talked about it before. I'm gonna. Chris is not allowed to comment on this one, purely based on his hatred of Everton Football Club, being a Liverpool fan. So this will be for us neutral guys up here. But it's like I can't speak about Tottenham because everything I say about Tottenham is going to be skewed by my dislike of their club. But Burnley and Everton are both fighting for survival. That game ended up being 3-2. Burnley scoring quite late on, and there were a lot of woes for Everton. And I think that was a midweek game. Oh, sorry, that might have been. I forgot what day that was now, but that was obviously a lot of pressure got put on Lampard at that stage. We're going to talk about Lampard again later on because obviously his week ended up being quite good, but it started out rather bad. At that time in the week, it didn't look very good for Everton, and people were talking about Everton going down. What's your take? Do you think Everton? Do you think Everton are safe? Do you think that they are playing the kind of football that will keep them in the Premier League, or do you think that maybe, as much pedigree as they have, they are going to be a Championship side? What's your take on what's going on at Everton this season, Rob?
I don't think they're safe yet. There's still a lot of games left, and it's very close to the bottom. And they kind of showed their mentality when they were 2-1 up at half time, and then still end up losing 3-2. But obviously, we know the score this weekend now, so it's hard to.
But we can talk about. We'll get to that. But what I mean is, Burnley are also in the relegation battle.
Yeah.
So this was a must-win for them. And I think when you have is it unfair to put the blame on Lampard, seeing as he's only just arrived there, or was the rocks there well before he got there?
I don't think he deserves all the blame, but he definitely hasn't been as good as they thought he'd been to come. Like at that point, he would have only had one win in however many games.
Yeah.
But they were in a pretty bad rut before he went there. I think if you had to list a bunch of things, all the things wrong with Everton, I don't think he'd be in the top 5 or 10.
But can I ask a subsequent question? Then, I know maybe you disagree. I don't know. But when I heard that Everton were talking to Lampard, I didn't think it was a good fit. I don't know. I just felt like, is Lampard the kind of manager that you send to a team like Everton? Has he proven himself someone who can, is in Allardyce that can dig out those kind of, you see someone like Sean Dyche who's been at the lower end of the league for 3-4 years and has managed to keep them up. Is Lampard that kind of manager? And were you surprised when he was appointed? And that's open to any of you. So whoever wants.
I was surprised.
Go on, Roger.
No, I was surprised when he took it because much as we love Frank for what he did for Chelsea, I still think he's got to earn some stripes. He did well in the Premiership, and I think at the moment that suits him to learn his trade there and not take on a big club. I mean, Chelsea was a passion project because he loved Chelsea. He was never going to say no to that. But, I think really Frank would be better off earning his trade at a smaller club. I think Everton wasn't a good fit. I feel sorry for him because, as you said, the rot already set in and the players just don't seem to have the cojones for it. So I just think it's dodgy. The good thing to remember is that I think there's only one more position to play for to go down because I think Watford and Norwich are down. So it's who else is going to join them. And at the moment, I would think Burnley's going to join them, and Everton might just scrape by. But yeah.
Sorry, Chris, what were you saying?
Yeah, it was just the point on just Lampard being a fit for Everton. When a club starts to suffer or they're struggling, there used to be this rotation of managers who were in and around that area. For a long time, we used to see the Alan Kirbishleys, Pardew,
Warnock,
Gary Megson. You just mentioned Sam Allardyce, right? He's been there before. To be honest, I think as a football club, I understand why Everton chose to go a different route this time. I think they spoke to him. They sounded out Rooney and they spoke to Duncan Ferguson. Ultimately, none of them is really experienced, but you can't keep going back to the Steve Bruces of this world because you just won't move forward. They come in for 6 months. You're not going to want to give them money in the summer because they might get a certain caliber of footballer who you just don't really, who doesn't fit your club. Yeah. So for me, I believe that Everton didn't think they would be in this position, right? But they decided they're going to go with somebody and I believe, give him the time to do what he needs to, because they didn't think they would be dragged into a dogfight. Yeah. I personally think they're probably safe now, so that still allows them to move with that journey. Had there been, had it got any worse, then you just never know. But ultimately, it's not a case of even him fitting the profile of the club or whatever. Now it's just a case of he's going to pick a style of football that they want to play. If they stay in the Premiership, then they might open the checkbook a bit and let him do whatever. But it's not about getting the likes of Sam Allardyce and them guys anymore.
Oh, I see. So your take is that this is just Everton trying to open up a new chapter in the direction they go.
Yeah.
As opposed to, rather than playing safe and getting someone that's in the trenches, they want maybe a finesse.
Yeah.
But what I mean is Lampard's. If you look at Lampard's track record, it's Derby and Chelsea, right? He didn't get them up. He didn't get Derby up out of the Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets a golden, amazing chance to be manager of Chelsea. He didn't actually do that badly. They got them to an FA Cup final. but obviously didn't win anything. And the rotational system that Chelsea had was obviously they brought in Tuchel goes off with this squad that Lampard had and wins the Champions League and wins everything else. So, and obviously Lampard did quarantine and a couple of key players, Rudiger. There's a couple of other players in there that were kind of not. But he did bring through Mason Mount. I mean, Mason Mount I'd imagine, was someone he's fought through, but I just get the impression that he's brought in some players at Everton. That I don't think are Evertonian players, and are not good. I mean, obviously they got the young lad from Tottenham. Anyway,
did you say the young lad from Tottenham?
Yeah, I don't know much about him. He used to play for England, but he's not that good anymore. As I said, I don't really talk much about Tottenham. But anyway, he's this player. But obviously, I just think that he's. I don't know. Just my take on it is that he didn't fit. But who knows? Maybe the players he's got, he may be able to turn it around with them. I don't know. Sorry, Rob. What would you say? I know you love Lampard, so I know that you're a Lampardian. So I know that you love him. Obviously, he was your captain of your club, but he's moved on now, and obviously, do you think he's good enough to be a Premier League manager, or do you think he needs to earn that right in the Championship before coming up into the big boys?
He still needs to earn it, I think. I mean, I think what he done at Derby was very underrated. The people were raving about how well Derby were doing, and he only didn't get them up from losing the playoff final on the last day. And when it comes to a final, anything can happen. So I think what he done there was very underrated. Chelsea again. I mean, he's not a world-class manager when he came in. Like that, it was a passion project. He was never going to come in and just win leagues and trophies, whatever. And with Abramovich, you're never going to stay long if you can't do that. But at the same time, I think when he got sacked, he was only for like 5 points off top 4. Yeah. And that season, we had like a 10, 13 game unbeaten run. We could have been top of the table for Christmas, but we lost 1-0 to Everton because Mendy gave a penalty away. And then it kind of unravelled under that. But Chelsea's obviously had a much better squad than Everton do now. But he still needs to prove it. I don't necessarily think it'd be bad for them if Everton went down and he stayed with them to get used to his style of football with that group of players and bring them back. But we don't know if they get sacked. If they do go down, if he'll get sacked because of it.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think it would be a disaster for Everton if they did go down.
Yeah.
I know Chris is smiling there, but it would be a disaster. Obviously, Everton have got Premier League pedigree. They one of the few clubs that have never been relegated. And the idea of them being down is almost unheard of. Liverpool, a big chunk of Liverpool would be weeping in the Mersey. But anyway, we could carry on. There was another game, obviously, on Friday, which was Newcastle. They beat Wolverhampton 1-0. But actually, I'm not going to talk about that game because the next game we talk about is Lampard again. Because who was the guy that said football's a funny old game? It was what's his name from Tottenham? He's Breezy. It's Breezy, wasn't it? He said it's a funny old game. In the week, Lampard is being berated and being told, no, you're no good. You shouldn't be at Everton. Everton are going down and they're useless. And then they play Manchester United first game Saturday morning, and they win 1-0. That 1-0 win was massive for them because it opened them up away from the bottom 3, obviously Norwich, Watford and Burnley. It was a win. It was a must-win game. Manchester United, who went there, I wasn't expecting to lose. I looked at that fixture and I thought, with the lack of confidence that Everton have, I think Man United are going to win that game. I watched the game and was amazed, actually, what Lampard has done with those guys. He's given them whatever he said to them over those few days. It was a different team. I don't know if you guys watched the game, but it was. Did you watch it? Wasn't it? Everton's attitude was very, very different in that game, don't you think?
Absolutely. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. when teams come up against the real big teams, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, they always raise their game, no matter where they are in the league. They suddenly start playing like they're champions. Now, Everton obviously had a rocket after their, last match, but I think they raised their game significantly against United, going on the back of the fact that United are not great at the moment; they're pretty poor, and it was a really good game to watch as a neutral. So, I think they've probably just done enough now to get themselves a little bit away from the bottom three, perhaps a little bit of momentum and belief. But you have to fear for Man United because they're.
Do we?
I think they're going backward.
Our resident host, pundit Keith, isn't with us today, and obviously I know that he's
Yeah, how is Keith?
I think that's part of the reason why he's not with us today. Real fans, they stand up and they just accept defeat. They don't care. They will be there whether they win or lose, which is part of the reason why I'm here right now. not crying. So as I said, football is a funny old game. Now, speaking about my beloved Arsenal, last time out we were summarily put to the sword by Crystal Palace. This was a game that was our game in hand almost for Tottenham, and it was the one game that we knew we needed to win. We needed to win it because if you don't, you get sucked into a race for fourth spot with a team that actually at the moment seems to be coming into form. And then we lose. Now, obviously, Arsenal, my beloved Arsenal, we had a lot of chances in that game. If you were there, you would know that we actually didn't play so badly, but Partey being injured, Tierney being injured, we had Lokonga and
Xhaka was that left back.
Xhaka, it was just not. It was not the team we wanted to have out, and we got found out. Obviously, there was an opportunity. I mean, I don't know if you saw the offside goal from Martinelli. You could not get more on the line as that goal, and it took me 5 minutes to deliberate. Chris, did you understand the reasoning behind the disallowing of the goal? Seeing as it was literally on the line of
not at the time.
No.
But obviously, when you watch the game and they have to dig out all that information, so after you do understand. Ultimately, it's the law of the game, isn't it? There has to be, I think, two players in between, and there wasn't. There was only one. So unfortunately, he was adjudged to be offside. So it's unfortunate. I'm not sure how often we get that kind of a situation where they need to look at the ruling there. I think it was just unfortunate.
Yeah. So I don't think we'll labour that. I don't think we need to spend any more time on.
Whoa! Slow down, right?
Obviously, we are running out of time, so I'm quite conscious of keeping to my agenda.
Slow down there, host. No, we don't have to. To be honest, we don't have to spend time on it. Yeah. But I do think, look, I kind of caught the highlights with that game, and they highlighted one player from the Brighton team who played in midfield.
Yeah.
I think his name is Mwepo or something along those lines, and he really. When they played us at Anfield, he bossed it that day as well. But he seems to be very injury prone, so he'll miss like 19 games and then come in and just
do really well. I know, and he does so happen, the game he does really well in.
Just to give him a shout out, and then also, if you remember, Johnny, when the transfer window closed in January, we had a little exchange because someone put out a tweet of the lack of depth in the Arsenal team, and I couldn't believe it because I don't really follow Arsenal like that. But when I saw it, I thought, whoa. Yeah. So there's certain positions in this team that there is only one player, maybe two at best. And so when you said earlier about your left back Tierney being out, and then you had to move Xhaka to left back, so it meant the middle. and Partey, and you say to yourself, this is what Arsenal fans were saying in January, that as much as we've lost a striker, we need players to get to the end of the season. And sadly, you've had 2 injuries, and it's just one wheel has started to fall off. And if you get any more, you know where I'm coming from.
No, I think Chris, you hit the nail right on the head. We, as a team, our momentum and the successes that we had on the road and at home was based on the fact that our first 11 were fit. And I think the minute we hit obviously the statistics are when Partey plays, we don't lose. Partey has been a massive.
Whoa! He played against Liverpool.
No, I mean, but I think Liverpool and Man United and Man City are the 2 clubs that they're in the side. Partey generally has been one of the most reliable players. He doesn't score many goals, and he does get sent off. He has been sent off, but generally he's the safety net for a young squad, and he does what we wanted Xhaka to do. All those years that we've had Xhaka, we wanted him to do that. Partey fits into that role perfectly and helps Xhaka to play. And they now play really, really well together. But obviously now they're not even playing in their same position, and we got found out. And that's two on the bounce. Those 2 on the bounce is coincide with our North London rivals doing well, but we're going to come to them in a moment. So unless there's Rob, do you want to add anything else to the woes of Arsenal? Do you want to add more to it? Do you want to put more fuel to the flame? Or are you happy for me to continue?
For someone.
Oh.
I actually thought you were quite unlucky. I mean, wasn't there that chance where Odegaard had a free kick, hit the bar, came back, another player got it, hit the bar. So it's fine margins like that. I think you're quite unlucky at the end. I think it just might have been one of them days, but it doesn't help when you've lost the game before and then a game like this. Like I say, you had injury, so it may just be one of them results, but I think you're quite unlucky at the end.
Yeah, and I think that, you have to take your chances, and we didn't. The fact that we are relying on Nketiah, who at best is a mid-table striker. I don't think he's good enough for Arsenal.
Mid-table in the
correct.
I don't think he's good enough, but the fact that we're relying on him says a great deal, I think, about us and about Arsenal and about where we are in the scheme of things. But we move on, and the next game in this is where Roger and Robert will be very happy. It was a 6-0 demolition of Southampton. Please, I'd like you to tell me, before going into that game, did you imagine, keeping in mind what's happened to you in the week, where you were beaten by Real, what do you think happened? What do you think Tuchel said to his guys, why they then turned out a 6-0 battering of Southampton?
Stop.
Go on then. Go on, Rob, sorry.
Oh, me. Oh, he definitely would have said we need to bounce back from this. We need to get a result, show a bit of resilience. That's 2 games in the bounce now. Get into a good rhythm before Real Madrid. I don't think anyone would have seen 6-0 happening, but we would just... I mean, I don't think Southampton were good that day either. And Southampton have it in them to get a big defeat a season. I think the last 2 seasons they've lost a game 9-0 each. So they've got it in them to be battered at some point during the season. Just thankfully it was at the right time for us. And I mean, I think Werner was brilliant yesterday. Maybe that was just because how bad they were, but even he had a brilliant game. He hit each part of the post bar. He could have come away with 5 or 6, which is saying a lot for him. So it was a great result.
Roger, what was your take? What about you?
Well, I think Chelsea are trying to get the Real Madrid match moved to Southampton because obviously we like playing on that pitch. Listen, I think he would have said you've got to make a statement, as Rob said. You've got to come out and show that who you are. But again, it's been said, Southampton are a decent side. But every now and again, they throw in these results just to frustrate their supporters. And we were the recipients of their sort of a largesse yesterday. We did play well. There was a lot more urgency, but you can get those results where, So yeah, I'm pleased. I was wanting more. When it was 6, we were looking for the 7th. But I'm just glad that we kept a clean sheet. We got a good result. Let's hope that sort of buoys the lads up for the midweek one. But yeah, Southampton, they're a really decent side, but they were even James Ward-Prowse, who is so good on his delivery. Did you see him? He was really poor with his delivery. I watched the match and he was just, which just shows they were just below par all over the pitch, and we took advantage of it.
He also gave the ball away that led to Werner's first goal. So he doesn't normally make mistakes like that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a really good player, but didn't
Mason Mount. I know I didn't recognise him. I think Mason's had a haircut. I didn't even recognise. I said, "Who's this guy?" Oh, it's Mason Mount. Oh, okay. So
what about that pass for Alonso, eh?
Oh man. I mean, to be honest with you, I know that I think Kai didn't Havertz score as well in that game.
Yep.
So you're starting to see that Havertz is I think Havertz is the real deal. I think that you bought Lukaku, but you already had the guy there. I think Havertz is the sort of person that as he grows with experience, he's going to become more important to the way in which Chelsea play. I think Timo Werner needs to be shot. Not shot. I mean, like sent on. I think Werner is
aggressive.
That guy. Werner in the Bundesliga, supposedly before he came to you, was scoring for fun. Like he was just this free-spirited goal-scoring genius that could just out-sprint everybody. But then he came to the Premier League and he realised that defenders can run as well, and he just can't hit a barn door. And the fact that he got 2 goals last night will really help his confidence. But I still just don't see him being the cut. He just seems to make silly decisions. He makes runs that make no sense. I don't know if you've noticed that about him. He's got pace. He's got. Go on, Chris. What's your take on?
No, I think. Look, I'm not a Chelsea fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Werner he was the main guy at his old club. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when he came here, has he really had a spell where he was the through the middle guy? I always see him left. Am I right in saying that, guys? Is he always down the left?
Yeah, pretty much.
But
they rotate the front three, so
You're right.
I think he was being played regularly by Lampard, though, wasn't he?
Not in the way.
Lampard played regularly, I remember.
Not down the middle, but not down the middle. But Lampard did use
played him regularly, but that's what
it was mostly on the left.
This is it. It's never been number 9, and because he missed a few chances, everybody wants to make a laugh out of him. But my thing is, of course, we know some players, they're all about confidence, right?
Yeah.
I think if he played in the middle, and yes, if he missed chances, and for me, a man manager has a player there. Personally, I think if you've got enough patience, I think Chelsea have got a player because he's got pace. He can use both feet, right? If you watched the game yesterday,
Chris, he's not a good number 9.
Come on.
Banana foot. He can't hold the ball.
He was challenging.
Chelsea fans, please.
He was challenging Lewandowski.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Right? But what I'm saying is the Bundesliga and the Premier League are very different.
And I understand that.
And
but my point is,
when you are number 9, you've got to hold the ball.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
It's about holding the ball and bringing your midfielders into the game.
Yeah, but do you think? To me, you can't make it. For me, you can't make a judgment on a position that the guy has not played in this country. That's all.
He has played it. I think that.
I think he used to play there in Germany as well. I think he played both, like left wing.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think he played both. Well.
I just think we're not giving. For me personally, I just don't think the guy is being given a chance. He misses a few chances, and because we don't support Chelsea, we want to rubbish him. Do you understand?
No, it's not that.
Not us here.
For
but
me,
I just
it's not even
general,
that. How many chances do you give a striker to do something, and then the thing is, it got to the stage. I remember it was either at the beginning of this season or the end of last season where Werner was the sort of person that he would assist. He'd be in a perfectly good position and would pass
Yeah.
someone else. Like he'd lost all confidence in his
That's
ability
the
to
point.
score. That
He'd
he
have
would be
open
in
goals and pass it.
and he passed it. And I was thinking to myself, he would infuriate me if he played for Arsenal.
No.
Don't get me wrong, he's a
Yeah.
great. He's a runner. He's got fantastic pace, but he's a little bit like a horse with the old thingies on when he runs. He doesn't look around it, and he kind of runs himself into cul-de-sacs.
I'm
And
not convinced he knows the offside rule either. 'Cause he's constantly offside. I think someone needs to sit him down and explain it to him. He's always offside.
Yeah.
And
And I
whenever
feel
he does get the ball, he doesn't know what to do with it. He'll either try and take it around someone, get tackled, try and do a pass and doesn't get to the person, or he'll shoot and it's wide. I just,
and
I-
the thing is,
if it is confident, how long till he gets it back? Because yesterday was a great game. He scored 2 goals. Should have had
Yeah.
probably about 4 or 5.
This is it.
But we've seen it before where he's had a couple goals and then it just still hasn't got. It still hasn't clicked. So I don't know if it. I don't know if it's certain players have certain leagues they're used to.
See, what I think though, Rob, is that Werner is down the pecking order. I think Tuchel trusts Havertz. He's trusting. I think he knows I will get I know what I'm going to get from Havertz, and I know what I'm going to get from Mount. He's not convinced with Lukaku, and I think he gave Werner a run, but he's not convinced with Werner either. But I think because of the Champions League game, he's given these guys and said, right, go out there, have fun, enjoy the game, and it'll be interesting to see who he trusts in Spain on Tuesday night, because that's his team. His team that play on Tuesday is the team that he has the most trust with. Go on, Chris.
And at the same time, I don't disagree with that. I also think, because we said it, I think you might have even said it at the beginning of this segment, in terms of would the result in the midweek have been playing on the minds of Chelsea and all the rest. Yeah. He did make changes, but it's Southampton. They're a decent side, but they're not Real Madrid. And for me, Chelsea are not some little boy team. You understand? You know, Liverpool, they talk about mentality monsters, right? With City, to me, Chelsea are, in terms of their mentality, they're there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be the European champions. So you lose one game, you have to leave it behind, and you've got to just roll up at the next. You've got to turn up at the next game and just make a statement. And for me, they did, and they did that with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I thought he bossed the game yesterday. Absolutely bossed it. You got
was
Werner.
Was he playing as a wing back?
I think he was playing right.
He was playing right side, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was bossing it, right? And then you got to think Werner scored 2, right? So if it's a confidence thing, like you just said, they might not be trusted for Wednesday, but the FA Cup semi-finals coming up in a couple of weeks, in like the end of the week.
Next
now
week,
that's it. You've got players on form and confident, right? Chelsea, it's not looking as bad as people maybe think it is, because now those players who were rested, they're fresh for the midweek, and these players who played well, they're ready for the weekend. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't think it's as bad as people maybe make it out to look. So that's just my 2
cents. I see there's a comment there from Mega Big Al.
Come on, Big Al.
Thank you so much I love that name, Mega Big Al. Thank you so much for coming in and shouting out Chelsea. We've already talked about whether or not we think there's going to be a result for them next week when they face Real Madrid. It's going to be an interesting game. But we'll move on. Obviously, 6 goals to the good. Werner getting his confidence. Alonso, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, all on the score sheet. Well done to them. Amazing. That I wasn't expecting I thought there would be a game. I thought Southampton would give up more of a fight, but it didn't work that way. And sometimes it happens. So we had a huge game at the bottom of the table with Leeds and Watford.
Yeah.
Watford obviously are, pretty much already 1 foot already in the Championship. Mm-hmm. Leeds, who have given up, they gave up Bielsa, and they've now started to go in a new direction. They turned the page. They scored 3 goals. Looks like they are now safe. Big game for them. I don't think that they're going to get caught now, but as I said, it's tricky. You got to remember that 4 points is for me the big thing.
Yeah.
Burnley, obviously we'll come to that in a second. So we're gonna focus on the games today now, because the key games today started off with West Ham playing Brentford. So go on, Chris. Yeah.
Wait. Are we coming to today's games?
We're going into today's games.
Will we come back to yesterday's games?
Because
you're not doing that. You're not doing that. You're not doing that.
You know I don't like Tottenham. You know I don't like Tottenham. Why am I talking about them? You know what? So, guys, in all honesty, right, I was hoping that they wouldn't notice that I had just slightly moved and completely omitted that Aston Villa got humbled.
And I'm
Tottenham.
not going to even take the host duties.
And I was
doing it.
And you know, the funny thing is, guys, I was trying my best. I thought, if I talk long enough about Chelsea, then Roger and Robert won't notice when I just move on to today's games. But Chris knows.
No, I noticed. I just agree with it. I don't want to talk about Tottenham.
No, you're not doing this.
He is right. Okay, so all right, cards on the table. For the longest time, Arsenal have, because of COVID, because of the fixtures, Arsenal have had games in hand, and it is well known that you need points. You know, there's no. What's that saying about a bird in a? What's that saying?
A bird in the hand
is worth so many in the bush, whatever. The fact is, Arsenal had games in hand, and I was living on that, and I was thinking it don't matter because we'll win our games in hand. We're gonna, we'll move away from the chasing pack. It'll be Liverpool and Man City challenging for the top, Chelsea third, and we'll be safely fourth. But Conte at Tottenham had other ideas. Earlier on, only a few weeks ago, it was well said that the running for Arsenal is very difficult. Chelsea's running is not so bad, but Tottenham's running is actually very good. And arguably, Tottenham will now be the team to worry about for Champions League spot. And back then, I was like, no, Tottenham ain't catching us. Tottenham are rubbish. They're not going to get anywhere. They were getting humbled and beaten by other teams. Well, they have now hit a vein of form that is quite simply astounding. And yesterday, wow, Son scores. Did he get a hat-trick?
Yeah.
Son gets a hat-trick away to Aston Villa, which was by no means an easy game, but Villa have lost a bit of confidence. They themselves are not playing well. And now Arsenal are behind Tottenham. It wasn't before, it was goal difference, but now it's not. It's goal difference and momentum. Momentum, goal difference, and will. It looks like now Tottenham are now the team to beat to get to Champions League, and maybe the Arsenal gets Europa. I'm hoping that the Spursy gene will kick in, and at some point Spurs will falter, but they've got Conte. Conte won the league with Chelsea, so Tottenham are happy to get Chelsea's seconds. Well, at the moment he's doing amazingly well, and so as much as I don't want to talk about Tottenham, I'm just saying, I can't believe you, Chris. You know what? You don't miss anything, do you? You saw the match.
I was quiet in the Everton segment. You told me to be quiet, and I was quiet.
Yeah. So, Roger and Robert, what's your take now on what's going on at Tottenham with Conte? Do you see them now being the real deal? Could they go on to bigger and better things? What's your take? I know that obviously. Can I just say before I say this that you think that I dislike Tottenham? I'm talking to two Chelsea fans. They definitely don't like Tottenham.
This is true.
So good.
Well, I think Tottenham are agreeing with you. They're in the ascendancy. They're probably going to sneak fourth. Whether they can then bridge the gap to Chelsea, and then whether we can all bridge the gap to the top two above us is another matter altogether. I think that after the top three, who I think are probably the best three teams in the league, there's a few teams that are scrambling around for the next position, and Tottenham at the moment seem to be making a play for that. I think they're probably, with the momentum they got and with the Conte factor, probably going to get Champions League. They're going to get fourth. Thursday nights again for you, Johnny.
No. Do you know what? It's so depressing because a big shout out to Michael Harding. He's a good friend of mine. He's actually my old boss, and he's a hardcore Tottenham fan. And he reminds me regularly on WhatsApp about the Arsenal demise and the potential for us to be playing Europa Conference. But with the injuries we have, I don't think that we're falling backwards. But I think that we haven't stopped falling yet. I think there's still more to come because of our injuries now. And that to me is the worry, is that and even now we've got Arteta talking about the team because he's worried. And I think as an Arsenal fan, even I'm worried that we've lost 2 games on the bounce, we could lose more. And we've still got the big games to play against the likes of Chelsea. We've got Chelsea, we've got Manchester United, we've got Tottenham. I mean, we've got some really big games ahead of us at the moment when our injury list is the worst. Anyway, do you want to rub it in anymore, or can we move on to today's game?
The only thing I will say is that
I want you to move on.
No, I have to. The only thing I will say is that Aston Villa, after conceding so early,
I know
goodness, they were amazing for the rest of the first half, right?
Yeah, but
now, if there's any hope for the chasing pack, it's that Tottenham are scoring goals, right?
Yeah.
Then they look open. I'm not gonna lie. Lloris was amazing yesterday. Because Villa could have scored 4 in the first half, right? So if there's going to be an opportunity, that's where it is. Their defense, they haven't improved it. Before him getting injured, they were playing Doherty, who's a right back on the left, right? And let's be honest, Emerson Royale is woeful, right?
Yeah.
So I still think there's twists and turns there as well.
Could well be. I mean, It is what it is.
Eric Dyer is awful. He's not a centre-back. I know he started at centre-back in Portugal, but this isn't Portugal. This is the Premier League. How he's still playing a centre-back, I don't know. If they get away with it, that'll be ridiculous. Because he is shocking.
Yep.
Right, so we are now going to move on to today's games. Starting off with the surprise result. Though I did actually think this was going to happen because of European commitments. Brentford, they beat West Ham 2-0.
Yeah.
I've obviously Brentford have beaten Arsenal, they've beaten Chelsea, and now they've put West Ham to the sword. Doing very well. We talked about Christian Eriksen and his resurgence at the club. We've now seen them go to play them at West. We've now seen them play West Ham at home. West Ham though have got one eye on Europe, and that's always going to be the issues with that. That was part of the reason why I thought Chelsea was going to lose against Southampton, was because I thought got one eye on the Champions League. They might put out their their under 21s, their under 23s. They might put out a weakened side to play Southampton. And I think maybe even Southampton thought, guys, Chelsea are playing Real Madrid. We might be in here, but Chelsea had other stories. But I think this is a perfect example of when you're playing in Europe with a smaller squad.
Yeah.
This is something that, Arsenal have a major issue. We do not have a squad big enough. We need, we need 22 good players. We need a strong, big squad. We don't have that. West Ham, who have played amazingly well, have a very, very small squad. And if they really want to, their game's in the balance. A 1-1 draw with Lyon.
Yes.
Yeah, a 1-1 draw with Lyon. So it's in the balance. And they could go there and win. So they've rested key players, told their players to play, at 70%. You can't do that against Brentford. They'll beat you. And that's exactly what happened. And Brentford are actually a good team. Tony has scored. I think Tony scored and assisted, and the other goal scorer assisted Tony's goal. Sorry, Chris. Yeah, go on. What was you going to say?
I think if I'm in West Ham's position, though, I have to do that because if I'm honest, I don't think they will get Champions League via league placing.
No.
So, and also, I don't think from looking at it, they've got 6 games left.
Yeah.
Wolves have got 6 games left. As long as they do better than Wolves, they will get European football again next season. So, for me, you've got the potential of being in a European semi-final against possibly Barcelona, or
what a great game that would be.
To me,
yeah,
right, the fact that you also played with 10 men for a lot of that game,
I
think you do this. You take the loss because Wolves lost to Newcastle, so they're not going to overtake you. You stay in the European places and you put everything into. Look, even if they go to Barcelona, let's just say they got through. They get to play Barcelona. 2 legs,
right?
Barcelona.
What a great.
You're gonna take that because right now, for me and for them, I believe they know that Champions League is gone. So if you're not going to get that, your best avenue now of Champions League is winning Europa. So you know it's you're 3 games away from the final. I think you've got to go for it. So that's. I don't think them losing to Brentford is a big problem. If I'm honest.
Thing is that so there's only 2 points between West Ham and Wolves, but then behind Wolves is Leicester, who are a clear 9 points behind. So there's not Leicester's not part of the conversation.
No.
The issue is always going to be who from Wolves up. That's going to be the deciding factors of where this goes. The fact that West Ham, because their side is not big enough, they've had to rest players. This is the result, and so in many ways, you have to take it.
Yeah.
Focus on Europe. I hope they do well. I think West Ham are, they've been in the shadow of all the other London clubs for so long. So I really do hope they do well in that tournament. Right. So the next game on was the team that beat Arsenal last week, Crystal Palace, went away to Leicester, and Leicester beat them 2-1. Obviously, that was a mid-table team. Very little between the two of them. Though Crystal Palace have played 2 more games, Leicester, if they play their 3 games in hand and win them, they then become part of the discussion because they've only played 29 games. West Ham have played 32, and there is, obviously there's 9 points there potentially that Leicester could come back. So actually, when we said that Leicester are not part of the discussion, I mean it's another one of it's like Arsenal. You've got the games in hand, but you've got to win them, and I think that's where Leicester is right now. And they've taken a big step in beating Crystal Palace to get them into 9th spot, which actually is not a bad thing. And then we'll go on. And then it was the Norwich and Burnley game. This was the game that I wanted to talk about. Because Burnley, having beaten, having gone through all the hardship to get a result against Everton. So they've just, at the beginning of the week, they beat Everton 3-2. They're now going to Norwich, the bottom club, and they lose. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. And just look at this. If you look at the title, I don't know if you can see there. I think I'm going to bring it up a little bit bigger. Norwich are on they're on 21 points. Watford are on 22 points. Burnley are on 24 points. Had Burnley beaten Norwich, then they would have sucked Everton back into that battle.
Yeah.
So it really puts the Man United victory into context. It shows us that Lampard's team beating Manchester United has kind of put Burnley firmly in that 3rd spot for relegation. And it tells you just how important it is to win your games, because if you don't, you will be in big trouble.
I think the result today for Burnley, it almost relegated them.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, coupled with the Everton Man United result, for you to go to Norwich and lose when you had a victory against one of your other rivals. It's just poor.
Yeah.
It's just poor. I don't see them picking up much points if they can't beat Norwich.
And that's the point. Norwich should not. I mean, I always find it interesting when we talk. We could have a whole discussion about the model that Norwich have, because Norwich are too good for the Championship, but they're too weak for the Prem. But every time they get, they get promoted and they get relegated, they get money.
Yeah,
they get massive there's a massive bonus to be promoted, and there's a massive bonus when you get relegated.
Exactly.
So and they've done it several times now, and I mean Newcastle did that a few years ago. Newcastle were the team that would go up, go down, go up, go down, because there was no benefit to them being in mid-table. There was more money for them to go down, and then know they were strong enough with the players they had that they knew they'd go straight back up again. And that's what Norwich have been doing now for the last few years. Every time Norwich go down, they're too strong, they go back up again. I almost feel that Fulham may well do the same thing next year. Fulham do exactly the same thing. But Burnley have historically always battled their way out of trouble. But I just get the impression at this time, with the Everton win, that maybe this is probably too far for them to do. Oh, and Keith has just walked into the building. Hi, Keith. He says he yo-yo clubs. Yes.
And don't you think it's ironic, and probably this is what caused a lot of the issue around the transfer deadline day, that it's Chris Wood who scored the goal for Newcastle to pull them further away.
Yeah.
And like you said, historically, Burnley would always somehow find a way. He's not there. And the guy who's come in, he scored one goal, and Kone was away at African Cup of Nations, and he scored the winner in the midweek, but he didn't score. So it's like the tried and tested guys that they had at the front are not there anymore, and the replacements, whether they're good or not, we don't know, because they're just not scoring. So I find what Newcastle did was very, very cheeky. They knew
it was quite shrewd business, wasn't it?
It was well out of order, but they're being smart. So
I think Newcastle just needed, because obviously we haven't really talked about Newcastle, because we know that they've got a lot of money behind them now. We know that they are, maybe 3-4 years from now, they are going to be a Man City potentially, because of the infrastructure. I actually think that Newcastle are a bigger club than City, in terms of their.
Whoa! Really?
In terms of being honest, in terms of their
the whole package, really.
The fan base, the ground, where they are in that part of the world, because obviously they've got Sunderland, Middlesbrough. They're the big dog in that area, and it's down the road and they've got Leeds. But what I mean is that it's on the on the west side of the country. Obviously, you've got so many: Liverpool, Man United, Burnley. You've got all in one section of the country.
Yeah.
Newcastle's issue is going to be whether or not they can get good players to go up there to that part of the world. Because obviously Newcastle's a bit barren in terms of, it's not Manchester, it's not Birmingham, it's not London. But actually they're going to have the funds.
That's right.
To actually go out there and start doing. I almost felt like, did Newcastle buy key players to take away their, it's almost like buy the players that we know will keep the other teams up. If we've got them, they can't stay up. Buying that striker from Burnley was a masterstroke, because he may not score 20 goals for your club, but Burnley can't score 5.
That's the point.
Yeah, so it's quite shrewd business, and actually, they are now comfortably in 15th spot, a good 10 points away from the relegation zone. Right, okay, so so we talked about that. We said that Norwich, they're gone, they've beaten Burnley. We now get to the game that has been on all of our minds all week. Pretty much for the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, everybody has been talking about what will happen when Manchester City host Liverpool, first versus second. Man City, a team that were 14 points clear of the table at one point, and Liverpool have slowly, gathered them in like a bed sheet, gathered them in,
That's a spreadsheet.
Like a turn up on the trousers. They just gathered them in, brought them close, like a rope on a boat.
Dear me. Where are you
My
going?
metaphors, alliteration. They have dragged them back into a battle. We now have.
Who invited Eric Cantona?
We now have. Sorry, what was that?
I said, who invited Eric Cantona on this?
Yes, the birds as they fly. So you have the two best teams in the Premier League, arguably in Europe, playing each other. Now, before the game, Rob, you did ask us what was our forecast from the game. I said 2-2. Roger said 2-2. Chris said that Liverpool are going to lose.
Yeah.
Robert, what did you say?
I said 3-2 to City.
Yeah.
Which it could have been.
Did that game reach your expectations?
As a neutral, yes, I thought it was a great game.
Yeah. A good advert for the Premier League.
Sorry?
A good advert for the Premier League.
Definitely a great game. Two of the top teams going at it, loads of goals. It was brilliant.
Who do you think was the best player on the field? As in, who do you think should have been? Who would have been your man of the match? Let's start with Roger first. Roger, who would have been your man of the match in that game?
I thought there were some solid performances by Laporte and Cancelo.
Yeah,
I thought they were really, really good. Those two. I thought De Bruyne did some nice stuff as well. But then you could pick out, Jota for Liverpool. They were good players all over the pitch. As Rob says, it was a really good advert for the Premiership. As a neutral, sat back and enjoyed the football. I think probably either Cancelo or Laporte. I thought they were really very solid. So
okay, Robert, who would you say was your man of the match in that game today?
I was going to say Cancelo stood out for me. I thought he was brilliant, up and down.
Look at Chris's face; he's angry now. Chris is seething. He's like, how dare they give it to City?
I'm going now. I've got a lot to say, but I'm holding it. I'm waiting my turn.
I know. I can feel the heat. Your head is hot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So Cancelo gets your man of the match, Rob. What about you, Chris?
Probably.
KDB dominated the game.
Who?
Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
He was brilliant.
He was good.
Oh,
yeah.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
Ran the game. Just the chances he made. He scored a goal. Oh,
yeah.
Man. That guy is he's amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you think that when Jota equalised, that was against the run of play, or do you think that was as the game was progressing, Liverpool getting more into the game? Because it seemed like those goals were scored at strange times in the game itself. Like the De Bruyne's first goal wasn't necessarily because City were better than Liverpool. Just like Jota's first goal wasn't because Liverpool were actually playing better at that time either. It just seemed individual mistakes happened and they scored. But it just seemed like it wasn't a possession game. And what's your take, Robert? Did you think...
Sorry, Karen?
Yeah, go on. Did you see it as a fair? Obviously, it was 2-2. But did you see those goals going? Were they against run of play, or were they well thought out goals that happened when they should have done?
I think City started off the better side. I think they started off the more
intensive,
and they were a lot more aggressive. Yeah, I don't. Kevin De Bruyne scores those goals against Chelsea all the time. You can't back off him when he has the ball near goal. Left foot, right foot, he's going to find a way in. I know it took a deflection, but you can't back off De Bruyne when he's running at goal. So that's a Liverpool mistake, really. But I mean, he scores them goals all the time. And then the Jota goal was it kind of went under Edison, didn't it? So
yeah, it was a pullback from Trent, wasn't it? I think Trent was on the right and pulled it back.
That was a very well worked goal. That was a well worked goal. Yeah.
Yeah. sorry, I know I'm changing the subject. We're going to get back to it. But does De Bruyne do what Yaya Toure did? That sort of emerge from the midfield run. I just feel like we've seen this before. Do you remember Yaya Toure was the sort of guy who would take the ball deep in the midfield and would just run.
Yeah.
And would emerge and either pass a ball or just go. I feel like De Bruyne has the goal in him that Yaya doesn't.
Mm.
I'd like to know the goal scored by Toure compared to De Bruyne. I feel like De Bruyne scores more goals. But you're going to do some fact.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah, get fact that, because I feel like
he probably doesn't have as many. I don't know, but he
I think De Bruyne scores a lot of goals in that way in the midfield. He obviously scores a lot of goals outside the box. Toure they both did the same thing. That sort of get the ball from defense, emerge, run, but De Bruyne seems to be able to just score a goal. But I don't remember Toure doing that. But obviously, if I'm wrong,
all comps, Toure got 59.
Okay.
ADB's got more than that.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe his goals were just more when they needed them, because in title run-ins, Yaya Toure always popped up. Always.
Yeah. And Keith says De Bruyne's range of passing is better than Traore. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, actually, I'm so sorry, I've missed the comment. Jota, is he the bargain of the decade?
Whoa,
that's a good shout.
That's a big shout.
Is he?
I would say N'Golo Kante to Leicester.
Oh.
He was, wow.
That was a good.
Now I've got to go back again, because actually Kevin De Bruyne has only got 53. But I'm going to
okay. So that says it all then. So sorry, I take it back. So in my mind, I visualize De Bruyne scoring more goals, but actually it's actually Toure. Yaya has scored more goals.
Yeah.
Brilliant players either way.
Yeah, so at the moment, Yaya scored. He played 20 odd more games at the moment and got 6 more goals than Kevin De Bruyne. So to tell the truth, it's pretty even, Stephen.
They're pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah.
But Jota is, obviously Jota coming from Wolverhampton. When he left Wolverhampton, I thought Jimenez was the main guy at Wolverhampton. I mean, I don't know. I just remember Jimenez being the main guy at Wolverhampton, and then Liverpool bought their second striker, Jota. I thought, okay, is he any good? Jimenez is the big boy, and then you've got Jota, who's kind of the secondary striker. But wow, has he hit the floor running? And he's the reason Firmino doesn't start in Liverpool's squad, isn't he? He's literally, and obviously Firmino's getting older now, but Jota has shown everybody that he is that guy. I was a bit disappointed that Mane was taken off, because I don't think Mane played badly. I think Mane played a good game. But your manager seems to never want to take off Salah.
Yeah.
He just seems to put a lot more faith in Salah than he does in Mane, and I don't always understand that.
I can, if you look at it, obviously as a Liverpool fan,
yeah,
we've seen that a lot. It's because of the draw that Salah is. At the end of the day, towards the end of the game, when the ball was played to him, how many players were around him?
Yeah.
It leaves gaps. People don't see Mane in the same way. If anything, Mane will help out a lot more on the left side in terms of tracking back and all the rest of it. Salah is purely, we need an out. We're going to whip it to you. There'll be 2 or 3 men against you. We don't always expect him to score, but he plays and fulfills a role in the team. It's let's draw the attention to you. And to be honest, that is why when he's not on fire or not scoring, the other guys do. Because you said earlier on about against the run of play. I think the only goal that for me was against the run of play was the last one, was Mane's. But it was because it came so soon after the half time. Because the first goal,
so soon I missed it.
the first goal, you saw it coming. In fact, they should have scored seconds before that. The Liverpool goal, it's like Liverpool conceded and then decided, okay, we now need to calm down and play football. We started to do that. We get an equaliser. And then City just do the same thing. They're like, oh, these guys have equalised. They're now starting to get a foothold on the game. They then took over. And that was it. To me, I saw the second goal coming for City. If we're honest, though, in that first half, City dominated it. Completely dominated. They could have had 4, and Liverpool would have been out of sight. And I think even Gary Neville said in the commentary, Klopp needs to get Liverpool in. He needs to get Liverpool in. Because that's one thing, as a Liverpool fan, you do see that. Sometimes we take the foot off the gas, or we're just not good in the first half. And he runs in the changing room, he gets into them, and you see a different team in the second half.
It wasn't there?
It was.
So
we were brave. To be honest, we were a lot of teams. If they get something against City, is smash and grab. Let's have it right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But today, as much as they probably will say they're hard done by, and Mara should have probably scored in the last minute. But Liverpool were brave because we didn't change the way we played for City. Yeah. We didn't do anything different. We kept the high line, and we did all that. We are Liverpool, and we decided we're going to play our football. If they beat us, they beat us. And that's the one thing that I am impressed about this team. They believe in themselves. They're brave enough to try and go toe-to-toe. And on another day, they would have lost, let's be honest. But they didn't. So we live to fight another day.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite interesting when we saw the substitutions. Obviously, Mane came off, Diaz came on. And then when they took off Jesus, they brought on what's his name with the hair? What's his name now?
Grealish.
Mahrez came on, and all I kept thinking was Liverpool as a team are more of an attacking team than and Man City as a team, even though they score a lot of goals, are more of a midfield team because they're more of an attacking midfielding team, whilst Liverpool seem to have more like Diaz was more of a striker, more of someone that's going to be a direct, whilst the midfield, the Man City substitutions were all more around still keeping the ball, still being able to play from the midfield and win out, whilst with Liverpool it was we want to score a goal, we want to just get at them. And it did see there was a period where it just went frantic. There was just like not much ball control. It was just left, right, lose ball, attack, and you wore each other out. And then there was a period where I think you both showed enough respect where you said, yeah, do you know what? This is going to be a draw. If Mahrez had scored that chip at the very end, I would have been disappointed. Not because obviously City would have won the game, but it was because you both deserved a draw. You both played really good. Both teams played amazingly well. It was a good advert for the Premier League. Woe for the rest of the Prem because those two sides are just insane at what they do, and they're still young enough that they could do it again next season. So a draw. All of this we've been talking about, is the title going to be decided with this game? No. Has anything changed? Oh, sorry, Rob. What's that again?
I think the title was decided.
Go on, please explain.
We've had this situation before when Liverpool were chasing City, and City just don't let up when they get in this position. I know it's only 1 point, but I think anything other than a loss today, and City are happy because they're in control of their own destiny. If they win all their games, it doesn't matter what Liverpool do. Liverpool have to hope that City lose points somewhere. And I know there's big games for both of them, but it's in City's hands now. And I think that this close to the end, with only a handful of games left, Pep's not going to slip up at this point. The only thing that possibly will is if he looks more towards the Champions League. But you've had a lot of players from City come out and say they'd rather win the Prem anyway, so I don't know if they will.
But then, from what I understand of the owners of City, they're almost in that sort of the same vein as Paris Saint-Germain, that they kind of win the Prem, but what they want, what they got Guardiola in for, was the Champions League. And I'm not saying that they would forfeit the Premier League by any means. They want the win. They want to be champions.
Yeah.
But I feel like the actual owners of Man City, they want the Champions League. They want what Chelsea have just got, because they know it's a stepping stone. Chelsea, had it not been for the other issues that are going on in the world right now, Chelsea, I think Chelsea, Chelsea would, the fact that they're, we were talking earlier on, Rob, about the kit. It would have the star on it of World Cup. We would be talking a lot more about what Chelsea have just achieved.
Yeah.
But because of what's going on, it's taken a back seat, and now we're more worried about what's going to happen to Chelsea as a club.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that I feel like it was 1 point yesterday, and today it's still 1 point. We've had one game less. It was a game that almost it was the game that no one could lose, because that was the point. This game was no one could lose this game, and they didn't. And now it's going to be who's got more, who wants it more. I think that Liverpool have a good, they've got 1 foot already in the Champions League, haven't they? City, however, haven't. I mean, City are playing Athletic. Are they playing Athletic?
They went 1-0.
They got a 1-0.
Yeah, they've got a 1-0 over, obviously, the De Bruyne again scoring a goal. But playing in Spain is a very different kettle of fish, as they say. And I think that Atletico Madrid are known for rocking big clubs. I won't mention who they've done because I don't want to offend Chris at the moment. But Atletico Madrid have
beat them home and away this season. I'm not offended.
Yes. Okay. Yes, they have.
I think Liverpool want the Prem more than City, but I can't see City slipping up, because obviously Liverpool have got more Champions League than City. City got more Premier Leagues than Liverpool, so they both probably want what each other one has, kind of thing. Because I don't think they're going to slip this up, and Liverpool would much rather have the Prem. And I think anything other than a Liverpool win today means City have won it, and it was a draw. Personally, I think the title is done.
And I've got a different take. I agree with Rob that it is advantage City, but if I'm honest, yesterday to today, nothing has changed in my book, because City have won the title 4 out of the last 5. We won the other one. We've only ever been in a race with them once before, and we lost on the last day. We lost it on the last day. We lost to a point, right? Now, in order to win it from here on in, I think both teams would technically have to win 7, meaning they're gonna get close to having to beat the Premiership record for like another unbeaten run again. Right? I don't think personally that Liverpool will not drop points, but then I don't think.
Well, talking about that, look at the run in. If we look at that, we've got. Let me just close that down. So you've got Liverpool are playing Benfica in the Champions League, and then they've got Man City again in the semi-final of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
They play Man United at home, but I don't think that's the game it was.
No.
Then you have the Liverpool derby. You've got the Merseyside derby against Everton. They're away to Newcastle, at home to Tottenham, where you might do us a favour. And then you've got away Villa, away Southampton, and I think your last game is United. So you've got
no. The United game is a pre-season one. Our last game.
I see. Of course, it's 12th of July. Sorry. So then you've got.
If you give us those fixtures, right? If you give us those fixtures and you say you've got to win them all to win the title, right? I'm gonna be real with you. There's no more City in there. There's no more Chelsea in there. No. Right? You've got to say to yourself, you take each game as it comes, right? Yeah. There are the landmines of the FA Cup semi and then the Champions League and all the rest of it. But if you're given an opportunity, you're saying to yourself, it's 7 games, let's pick ourselves up. I said it in the midweek. Manchester City have the manager, the players, and the know-how. So I definitely agree that it is advantages them. But at the same time, they've allowed Liverpool to catch up to them. So that's why I just don't think it's as clear cut. I think Liverpool will drop points. I think the week they play Man United, Everton and Chelsea back to back, that's a problem. I think that's a problem. Even the Newcastle game thrown in there. There's things banking everywhere. But in the same time...
you again?
Say that again?
Do we play you again?
We got Newcastle away, Man United and Everton at home.
Oh, I thought you said Chelsea. Sorry, yeah.
No. But but then...
I don't see losing points in them games, though. I just don't think City will lose either. Like, seeing all them...
Can I just say, look, this is the Man City running. They've got, as you said, they've got the Atletico Madrid game where they're 1-0 up. They've got Liverpool again in the FA Cup. They play Wolves away, Brighton at home.
The Wolves away
Watford,
game is
Leeds.
if you're
they they've got no top. They've got They've got no top 10.
West Ham's their only possible.
Hold on, no top 10. So what are Wolves in?
Okay, Wolves is the only team.
West Ham are in Europe, my friend. Are they not?
Okay, so what made there's no quality? No.
Steady on, mate. Steady on.
I think West Ham could be their only slip up.
This is it.
But other than that,
they've got a very good running.
But I don't see Liverpool dropping points even from their fixtures. So I think where they're 1 point ahead, I think you'll both see out the 7 games, and I think it'll just end with them a point ahead.
But isn't that interesting?
I think we'll drop points. I think Liverpool will drop points. So
it's interesting.
So who? Listen, if you play
not United, not Everton.
Say that again.
Not United or Everton. I mean, they're the big rival games, but I can't.
I think the Tottenham game could easily be a draw.
Yeah.
Easy.
But do they normally get results against you?
Say that again.
Have they got good results against you recently?
No, they haven't. But then
you normally do them, don't you?
But then we're saying that City won't drop points against Wolves. They've lost to them the last 2 years, and last year I think not in COVID, the year before they lost to them home and away. All I'm saying is we know that the teams have moved on. I'm just saying football's played on the pitch and not on paper.
Yeah, no, I know. But,
to Everton, do you understand? It could happen. I don't want it to. But
we have been talking for quite some time, and I believe we are going to have to wrap this up. Yeah. What I would say to you is thank you for watching. Obviously, if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All those thumbs up helps the algorithm and it helps us to grow. So we would really appreciate that. Our next show is 7 p.m. on Wednesday. By that time, Bayern Munich and Villarreal and Real Madrid and Chelsea game would have been played on the Tuesday. And obviously on Wednesday night, we go on air just before the Champions League game. So we'll be doing this again on Sunday, where we basically try our very best to work out what the results will be. I've gone with a Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. I think Chelsea, I think it may be a little bit too much for Chelsea, but I would love to see a great game. So I really hope that Chelsea score away from home and put the bits, what I'd like to see is a goal. I'd love it to be like 1-0 and see what happens. Will Real Madrid falter? Will they struggle? I think Bayern Munich are going to score 5, personally.
Whoa!
I don't take offense.
I agree.
Real Madrid, but Bayern Munich are going to score 5 goals in the Allianz Stadium. They're going to kill Villarreal because that's what they do. They lose away from home. They punish you at home. That's how they do it. They're just very. That's their model.
Putting your neck on the block.
The neck is on the block. Yeah, I am Mary Queen of Scots. My head is there, right?
Yeah, listen, the subscribers will come for you. They will remember this.
Listen, I don't sit on the fence.
Even if they don't, Chris will.
Robert hasn't sat on the fence. Roger hasn't sat on the fence.
I love it.
I haven't sat on the fence. We're looking forward to seeing you again on Wednesday. No Premier League games there's no Premier League on Monday. It's crazy. And there's no football. And then obviously we've got the Good Friday weekend, so I'm not quite sure what the fixtures are like, but it's FA Cup, isn't it? So it's the next games round of games is for a couple of weeks.
More stress.
More stress, I know. So Anyway, guys, thank you so much, Roger and Robert and Chris, for hanging out with us again today. Roger, if you would just hang fire before we go off, can we get a picture? And we will see you all in the next show, which will be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So, guys, take care and have a good week. So, see you later. Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.